HarperCollins presents Sleep, a novel by Honor Jones, read by Rebecca Lowman.
Part 1. Chapter 1. It was damp down under the blackberry bush, but Margaret liked it there. She was cozy, like a rabbit. It smelled clean. It was funny how dirt could smell so clean. She couldn't see in the dark which berries were ripe, but she nibbled on one anyway, puckered, spat. She rested her cheek against her arm and looked across the yard. A whoop and a stampede. The boys were running by. They must have spotted Biddy. The bright spot of the flashlight whirled. It made her dizzy trying to follow it. Hammock, grass, basketball net, grass. The flashlight made a photograph each time it hit something, little circles of backyard punched out of time. The light lit the door of the tool shed and stayed there, wobbling. She couldn't tell which boy was which in the dark, but one held the flashlight, one went for the door. Tactics, she thought, impressed. They shouted and knocked over some rakes and buckets, but the shed was empty. Margaret laughed into her elbow. The boys stopped to scheme, and she could see that Danny was holding the flashlight. Danny was her best friend's brother, and so they could almost certainly never fall in love and get married. The boys were making a plan. They had to be more strategic, she could hear Neil, her own brother, saying. She played with a stick in the dirt, making up signs for the fairy people who would come out later, telling them who she was. Here lay Margaret, child of man. The fairies would have tangles in their hair and see-through wings of dusky violet and the pointed toes of Barbies. She didn't believe in fairies, but she liked to pretend. The light came again, straight into the blackberry bush. For a second, it was like being inside a room when someone flicks the switch. The world got solid and sharp-edged and jumped at her. Leaves and thorns and shadows of thorns, the dirt so close to her face and suddenly, specifically, dirty. She cringed her eyes shut tight so no one could see them shining like an animal's. When she opened them again, the boys were on the other side of the yard. They'd given up on the ground and were looking into the trees. Biddy would be in a tree. Margaret could have told them that. And it took only a few more minutes before the light found her, pinned her up against the branches. Biddy kicked her sneakers like she didn't care and swung down to the victorious brothers. But they would never find Margaret. She had known as soon as she burrowed down under the blackberries that no one was going to find her. She was too low to the ground, too good and hidden. It was fully dark out now. She couldn't see the bats against the sky anymore, the bats that lived in the attic and weren't all bad because they ate the mosquitoes. If she was outside after her own dinner looking up, she could catch them sometimes, sluicing out of the house. So many wings, so close together, it was like one streaming body, like the house was a factory churning out black smoke. They were up there, eating, but she couldn't see them. She tried pretending them away, but that never worked. You could pretend things into existence, but not out of it. The damp had soaked through her shorts, and she shivered. She was bored of flashlight tag. Elbowing her way out from under the brambles, she shouted, "I win! I win!" and linking arms with Biddy, skipped toward the lit-up house. The parents were on the porch, around the glass table. "Ice cream's inside," Biddy's mom, Mrs. Murphy, called to the oncoming children. "Bring me a bowl too, would you?" Margaret's dad asked her. The fathers were handsome in their off-hours polo shirts, but Margaret's father was handsomer. And in the doorway, her mother in the hot pink sundress, Elizabeth, commanding the screen. Elizabeth oversaw the children tramping through, but when Margaret reached the threshold, she put an arm out and stopped her. "You're filthy," she said. Margaret looked at her mother's face to see how she meant it, but it was safe. She didn't look angry.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?